Seen a lot of videos on these. I think these are play to death, but here's a Panasonic Ranger 555. Neat little 70s portable TV, and apparently it's dead. That's what I've been told. 1977 DC in jack, and I got the corresponding power supply, and it's got a funky mount. So there's a little hook there, and those two hooks, and they go into there and there. And then I'm assuming that there's a release somewhere. Let's see. How does this? Goes in like that. Oh, it just sort of sits, and then you lift it up. She's deep. Okay, so let's just give her and see what happens. Put that in. Plug that in. Nothing. Okay. Is there RF AGC, IF AGC? Interesting, those are accessible outside. Height and vertical linearity. There's no switch on here. Oh, it's got separate rod and external antenna switches for UHF and VHF. So you could have something hooked up to VHF and then use the rod for UHF if you were so inclined. Vertical hold, brightness, contrast. Contrast, brightness, vertical hold, horizontal hold. So I didn't hear any high voltage come up. I didn't hear a squeal. So that's why, but let's just turn these up anyway. I still don't think I heard anything. No audio, no squeal, no nothing. So is this power supply any good? 12 volts, 4.5 watts. The meter here. And what do we have? I'm assuming positive in the middle. 20 volts. Now, is this one of those power supplies that under load will go down? I know some of these old linear power supplies, when they had no load, the voltage would go up. I mean, we could just try a 12 volt external, see what happens. All right, got a spare barrel jack here. I checked this is positive center, and I metered it out so the one with the line is positive. So let's get this connected, and we will do 12 volts. Nope, still dead. And we've got 0 current draw. So yeah, let's open it up and see. Actually, before doing that, maybe I'm gonna grab a garbage bag and we will dispose of these. And ooh, wonder if this would have leaked anywhere inside. Look at that. I don't even want to touch that. The first two tubes were actually fine. It's this last one here. Look at that. Look at that, like, stuff just growing in there. Wow. It's like crystallized. And of course they're all different brand batteries because that's how you get the most performance, right? Okay, wow, that actually cleaned up way better than I expected. I think this is a fairly recent leakage, like someone put batteries in this less than a year ago. I'm just gonna leave it like this for now because I want to open the thing up. But if I get this working, I'll go through and clean all this up so that it doesn't corrode any further. Looks like there's no damage yet just because of how recent it was. Stupid camera, why do you keep going out of focus? All right. This looks nice, like it's just got arrows showing what screws to remove. So there's 2 on the side and 2 on the back. Oh, this whole back is a shroud. It slides off. Okay. So I've got the 2 on the back, so then there's 2 more here. So this should just kind of slide. Oh, that's cool. Let's do it from like that. I think these knobs will have to come off. Gently pull it up. Gentle twist. There. Okay. And we're in. So here's the power connector. And this is the speaker. You can just see it there. So I can take this to the side. Ooh boy, I can kind of smell some burnt electronics in here. It's definitely got a smell to it. Oh, it's got the purple Panasonics. That's not, ooh, yeah. It's got that sort of smell to it. So this comes in and goes up here. There's your barrel jack with the switch in it, and then it goes up and then down again to where? Okay, if I would have looked closer, I would see that it's a white wire there. And then the white wire, oops, which I assume is the negative, goes all the way up to here. Well, first, I guess, let's check the 2.5 volt, 125, 2.5 amp, 125 volt. Okay. The fuse looks good, but let's check it anyway and then just start working our way. All right, I opened this up and, you know, kind of took a quick look. Fuse is obviously fine. But I went for the simplest stuff first. So these red and blue wires come from the battery pack. There's a little connector there that plugs into it. Then they run up to the barrel jack here that has a little switch that'll switch between the barrel jack and here. And then you output white and red. So this red and blue here is just looping up and coming down. And then one of the red wires and the blue wire come up here to the board. So you can see these 3 wires here. D2 is the white wire, which I believe is negative. And then where's the red? Red goes right there. So if we flip it on the back side here, you'll see, where's the fuse? F4 is the red wire. It comes up, goes through the fuse, and then goes up to D1. D2 being our negative, and then D8. So D1 and D8 are the path going to the circuit for the radio. See, there's this capacitor across there. D1 and D8 are blue and yellow, and those go down to the power switch. Kind of hard to tell. It looks like there's a red wire. Let's get up close. See? Now, the power switch is on. When I meter across D1 and D8 on diode mode, instead of getting a beep, it actually measures a diode. All right, with the power switch in the on position, let's measure resistance. Okay, so that's low enough. Let's go down to the 400 ohm and see what we get. Nothing. So it's probably just a bad contact in the power switch. About 1 kilo ohm. I don't know if you can see that off in the distance there. 1.13 kilo ohm. So let's just get a clip lead and bypass that. I bet you the contacts in this are just old and dirty. I could probably, I could probably even spray some contact cleaner in there and that might get it going again. Okay, I've got clip leads bypassing the power switch. I'm hooked up and ready. Let's see what it does. Really? Nothing? Nothing at all. I could have sworn that would be it. Oh wait, I just wiggled them and then it came up. Oh, of course I don't have audio because the speaker's not plugged in. Oh yes. Okay, let's get a speaker hooked up and I'll get my frame rate set up here and let's see what she does. All right, it's up and running. Very scratchy volume control, but I do have sound. So let's see, I've hooked up another janky way. So this is my home cable feed going through a clip lead, and then I'm just clipping it to this little metal plate here because that connects to the rod antenna on the top there. And if we take a look around the back here, I've set those both UHF and VHF to rod, which will make it easier for feeding UHF and VHF at the same time. Now what's interesting is if you take a look here, you'll notice that the camera is not syncing, and that's because this doesn't have a signal to sync off of. So it's going crazy, but this camera is set to 60 frames per second, 1/60th. So if I go and tune in a channel, there we go. We're locked in. Not bad.
Son, there comes a time in every father's life when he must... People versus Adams.
People's Republic of Korea coming up. I always love comparing through the rounds.
Fine tuning's good.
The exact same dive now.
This is really cranked. I think I cranked the brightness and the bring the contrast brightness down just a little so it's more reasonable. There, that's better. So let's go to UHF.
Not using your name, and I am not Dale.
Come on, Dale. You're smoking the same brand of cigarettes you did in the 3rd grade.
Get off my property, whoever I am!
Why didn't I just tell Sherry?
There we go.
Visit her mother and...
Ta-da! Cozy kitchen. That's why it's so great that Marcy came up.
I love America, but it's good to be...
South Valley residents, winners of over 340 local Emmy Awards, world record holders for telling over 50...
Looks a little bit stretched, the vertical size. My Much Music channel has crashed. I need to go reset it. There we go, now it's restarting. I made a little logo in the corner. Sort of a somewhat retro throwback. Also, I set it so there are subtitle files for each show. Again, the vertical is kind of cutting off here. But it's 10 seconds in and 10 seconds before the end of each video it will show that, which is very handy. Let's adjust the height a little bit here. Bring it in. There, that looks better. That looks more like what I would expect. If we go here, yeah, that looks correct. I appreciate that this has a full ratcheting tuner, not just on VHF, but on UHF. So I know that in the US, they regulated that TVs have a ratcheting tuner and not a continuous tuner on UHF at some point. I want to say sometime in the 70s, probably mid 70s, but that was for TVs above a certain size. If you notice, most portables had continuous tuners on VHF and UHF. They weren't required to have that. So it's interesting that they went and put full clunky donk tuners. Oh, they put full clunky donk tuners on here. Is that just the fine tuning's off? Yeah, it's just the fine tuning. It's funny how modern cameras work. And I remember it being explained to me why, but like modern cameras, I guess, don't have the same sort of RGB sensitivity that our eyes do. And that's fine for the most part, But whenever you're filming a CRT, a black and white CRT, it looks blue. This looks blue. All the other colors around here look accurate to my eyes. But it's like our eyes just naturally look at this and say, this is a gray, a grayish white. But cameras always show it as blue. And if I try and fix it in post and adjust the white balance so this looks gray, everything else looks wonky. So this looks more accurate to what I'm seeing. If you notice, it's a nice sort of grayscale. So this is kind of what your eyes see in person when you look at a black and white CRT. But notice how yellow my hand is, how yellow everything is here. It's wild because I'm looking at it and my eyes or my brain is just naturally compensating. It's like the yellow versus blue. Was it yellow and black, blue and gray or something? The dress thing, right? Where people's brains automatically compensate for white balance, essentially. So right now everything's super yellow, but this is accurate. And if I were to adjust it or let it auto white balance to where my hand looks normal, this always goes blue. Just a side rant that makes filming these things kind of annoying. See, now it fits on the screen. The overscan is set just perfectly. Lots of noise too. This channel is usually a very clean channel, but depending on the TVs you hook up, I guess it varies. I may try and salvage these tubes, but like, God, look at how gross that is. I don't know if I even want to bother, but then it would be complete. You know, this is the only tube that's damaged. Maybe if I can clean it up, then at least I like having things that are complete. Well, I think I was able to burn off the contacts and clean off whatever dirt was on there just by... So what I did is while this was powered on, while the switch was in the on position, I removed the jumper and the electrical connection stayed. It bridged. Then I was able to just turn it on and off a few times. And that seems to have cleaned up whatever dirt. The resistance is down to 0 now. Yeah, it's very noisy because of how everything's sitting here. Oh yeah, look at that. Wow. It's just where, yeah, I guess I shouldn't have been complaining about how bad the reception is. I have the tools to hook this up properly. I just really like green clip leads, if you can't already tell. Everything's a green clip lead. It's the only way to live. So, actually this sounds pretty damn good out of that little 3-inch speaker. I mean, it's a 3-inch speaker, but it sounds pretty good for what it is. Just as a side note, people who are interested or following the whole TV Weather Channel thing, this is rock solid now. I finally put like 2 lines of code that I didn't know existed into it to keep it from crashing, and this has been running now for 2 weeks. I've been monitoring it. I put a little debug console in it and all these things, and it'll show me a little error in the debug screen because I'm running it remotely just now for testing. And it'll tell me when there's an error running the Environment Canada thing, which happens not as often as it was when it was crashing all the time, but it just returns the error and doesn't crash my program now. Professional coder. But yeah, just to let people know that this is working a lot better now. New RSS feed, I need to change the speed on that because it's a little slow. Everything's super janky. But anyway, regarding this TV, it's great now.
Mistake.
Rock
Yes.
freaking solid. Rock solid. I absolutely love it. That's cool. You can sort of see, I think, where is it here? Yeah, you can see the digital channel. So this would be channel 39? Oh, no, this would be like cell phone because there's no channels that high. Oh, you can't see what I'm seeing. Hold on. Let's get some light on there. Focus. Not sure I like my new phone camera. It can't focus this close. Like at all. I have to be that far away. That's kind of shitty. Anyway, it's like channel 39. So digital would be further down, which isn't really showing up as anything. It's really just showing up as a different looking noise. Because that's 32, and I think 32, yeah, 32 is a channel. 35 for sure is a channel. Yeah, and it just shows up as slightly brighter snow. There's 35, there's 32. That is 28, which I think is CBC 27 or 28. It's another one. Yeah, it just looks like different looking snow. Yeah, there's one there, which is 19-ish. And there should be one. No, maybe that was the last one. Yeah, anyway, the digital just looks like different snow, more pronounced snow. So this noise up here at 39, that's got to be cell phone stuff. Which would make sense because it seems to span a whole bunch of channels here. And I believe the reason UHF goes up to 36 now is because that was all sold off for more cell phones, so we can watch our TikToks. Maybe let's just get a quick look inside before I put this back together. Here's your teeny tiny black and white CRT with very low angle deflection. Maybe someone can tell me what that is, but it's very deep. It did have a focus control, which was very nice. I appreciate that. So I was able to clean that up a little. Has these purple Panasonic capacitors, which are probably all shit, but it's working, and I don't feel like spending a bunch of money to replace them, so we will leave it. There's the flyback, the giant ratcheting tuners, UHF and VHF. This bottom board here looks like it's the tuner board. Yeah, because that has the two AGC adjustments there. Back here is your tuning input. So you can see you've got this feeding to UHF, and then I guess, is this a mini coax or something? Going to VHF? Yeah, that's mini coax. And then this little metal piece here touches the rod antenna. You can just see it right there. And you got the switches, that, all your TV picture controls, and then your main circuit board. Pretty simple, nice little TV. Matsushita. I don't know, I never pronounce it right. Would that mean it's 140 millimeters? 140 BEB4? What's 140 millimeters in inches? And finally, the tag on the inside, which I believe will show the same stuff as the outside tag. Manufactured May 1977, chassis T508, serial number, blah 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 blah. Cool. All right, this thing cleaned up quite nicely. Got rid of the label and everything that was on there. The antenna, the rod antenna is still kind of busted, but I'm really not going to be using that anyway, so it doesn't matter. Someone's name was written on there, and I believe I saw a social insurance number in a couple spots, one on the inside, and then I think battery compartment will maybe see it. But yeah, it's working great now.
That's a good one. This highlight video is really something. It's like you did all the thing that's pronounced. Sorry, Dad, I'm a condescending. No. Too crazy about it myself, Chief. Strikes on the right notes.
You're that famous bowling guy.
Well, yeah.
Absolutely beautiful. Let me adjust the fine tuning a little bit there. So it has, sometimes on these old TVs, the fine tuning will adjust separate slugs for each channel preset. This one, they are shared. So like, let's say I tune in channel 10, so it's clear. And then I go to channel 2, channel 2's off, so I need to go like that. But then when I go back to channel 10, now it's soft and I have to tune it back. So some of the older, cheaper sets had that. I mean, it's not surprising given this is a little 5.5-inch portable TV. The fact that it has this type of tuner is amazing to me. Actually, yeah, and it's kicking in nicely. I didn't clean the tuners at all. They're fine. Horizontal and vertical hold are good. I didn't adjust them at all. This thing, all I did is I cleaned the volume pot and kind of gave the power switch in the volume control a bit of a boof to burn off any of the dirt on the contacts there. So yeah, it's working an absolute treat. All right, let's take a look at this. So this is the side with the battery compartment. It's got a decent little speaker on it.
Drip on the strip. It's a trip. Ladies have drip.
I mean, for a small portable TV, it's not tinny. The earphone jack has this little cover, right? This little cover that goes in there and protects it. It's got that heavy duty, almost like faux military look to it that I really enjoy. This is my janky UHF and VHF setup. That's why VHF looks so fuzzy on some channels, because this is not properly matched impedance, but we don't care. It's running on the little provided power supply, which is working just fine. It just hooks on the back like that. It has a short little lead that comes out the top and plugs into that jack. Oh, let's flip it around the other way here. So on this side, we've got height and vertical linearity, which look great. Had to adjust the height just a little bit, as you saw earlier. RF AGC and IF AGC for the automatic gain control. I haven't touched those. I don't see a need to. It looks fine to me, so we're going to leave it. And that's it. One thing I want to show. So I was able to clean up these little tubes just fine. I think this was the one that was dirty. The battery leakage was fresh. Like, I would say this I guess he got at an auction or something. Somebody probably put batteries in it. It didn't work. Left them in, auctioned it off. So those batteries were probably put in less than a year ago. Maybe 2, but it's a fresh leakage. I was able to clean, let's get some light in here. I was able to clean this up beautifully. Just took this piece out, desoldered it, gave it a good scrub down. All those contacts are clean. Oh, and you can adjust the focus control from the outside. Like, isn't that nice? All the little internal adjustments can be accessed without taking this apart. Plus, this thing is really easy to take apart. It was a pleasure to work on. I don't normally really care about these old black and white sets. These little portable ones are always really cheap. Like, you know, you see the ones that have a built-in tape deck and... Oh, the Bentley one. Everyone knows the Bentley one. That thing's everywhere. It's sold... Must have sold tons of them. And they're everywhere, and people seem to be really... Oops. People seem to be really into them for whatever reason. But yeah, really need to fix my lighting situation here. This is a cool little TV. Oh yes, and I did mention that there would be a social insurance number, and sure enough, someone has carved it onto this battery terminal here. And I think I saw it somewhere inside too. Oh, you know what? You know where it was? I think, yes, it was here. So people used to do this back in the day. And the idea was, it's your way of identifying with a unique number that nobody else knows your electronics. So if, I don't know if you're trying to prove that it's yours, like if you know who stole it, or if the police recover it and you say, well, I had, you know, this, and they say, well, prove it's yours. And you go, well, this is a unique number that no one else knows of mine, and it's on there. Great. But nowadays, like in modern times, imagine having this and then someone takes this from you. What's more valuable? Your big screen TV or your identity? Identity theft is huge. So if you had someone's name along with this and like you knew where they lived and you stole this from them, that's terrifying. But I see it on all, like my turntable has one. I've got VCRs with social insurance numbers. Pretty much everything from the 70s and even into the 80s, 70s for sure. There was that identity thing that you'd engrave. In fact, I even found a commercial, an old commercial. It was like an anti-theft program where you would carve in unique identifying information to your electronics in the case they were stolen. And it was like a commercial from the 70s. So yeah, it was a real thing that people did. It's just wild to think about in current year that people would do that, because things are just totally different now.
In the old days, when you had something of value, you protected it like this. Today, you can still protect your valuable property like this. Operation Identification makes your property risky to steal, tough to dispose of, and evidence of guilt when the thief is caught. Contact your police or sheriff and join Operation Identification. It's working.